I'm Judith Shaw, and today I'm offering this free art class. With the coronavirus keeping so many of us all around the world closed up in our homes, I thought some of you might like to experience the calming effect which art making can have on the soul. Today's lesson is called Process Art. This is an intuitive form of painting in which you completely forget about any desired outcome and focus only on the process, the application of paint to paper. Plus, there are absolutely no art skills required, just the desire to make some art. For this project, you'll need 2 pieces of mixed media paper or watercolor paper. 6 inches by 8 inches is a good size, or if you already have a 9-inch by 12-inch piece of paper, just cut it in half. You'll also need a water-based paint like watercolor or tempera. Tempera is the cheapest and is opaque, which allows for easier coverage of an underneath layer if you would like to do that. If your paint comes in a bottle or tube, you'll need something to mix colors in. You can get little paint palettes like these, or use small plastic cups or even tin cans. And of course you'll need some watercolor brushes. I recommend you get at least 2 different sizes of the round brushes which have points and are great for detail work. Also get 1 or 2 flat brushes which are useful for covering wide areas of paper with paint or water. Well, that's about it, so let's get started. First, you need to put your paint into your little palettes and then wet it so that it's fluid enough to flow easily off your brushes. With your paper, you're going to take a brush and just put it in your water and wet the piece of paper. Now, you put some paint down, just whatever colors and forms, whatever's attracting you. Go ahead and put that on one of your pieces of paper, and now press the 2 together. And there you've got 2 things that look kind of similar, only they're a little different. And now you're still not thinking about anything in particular, just going with the flow, what you feel, what you want to do. I'm seeing some building forms here, so I'm going to go ahead and draw those out. Not sure if I'll hang on to them or not, but we'll see. You can wipe away paint with a tissue to give a textured look. Just kind of working back and forth between both of them. I still haven't settled on any particular thing, though I am continuing, of course, to press the 2 pieces of paper together, because that's what helps you to break out of anything that you were thinking. So you see how I covered up that one spot? Well, it didn't cover that well, so now I'm putting some white on top of those little building kind of forms I had done or something. And got that white there, and then going and putting a little bit onto the top piece of paper. See what happens. Press a little bit of it together. See, that time I didn't do the whole thing. So I did a little bit more work off camera, and now I'm continuing to develop these 2 paintings. I believe that I have decided that these are actually 2 homes, and I'm pulling out detail and defining edges to accentuate that a little bit more. It's kind of funny because homes and houses and architecture are not things that I generally paint, but I guess right now, being stuck at home so much, home is really on my mind, and so it's just kind of bubbling up right now. You can see that I'm really just continuing along with defining some of these elements. Now, I wanted to point out that for your paintings, you might not want to delineate any sort of real physical object and make that what your painting's about. Yours could turn out to be completely abstract, just form and color. And here I'm using one of those small rounded brushes with the points to do some of the detail work, putting in some windows, maybe a door for this green, funny slanted house. Doing a little bit of grounding there for it, continuing to develop the idea that I've seen. So I'm going to take a little break right now, and I'm taping down the corners of the paintings so that they don't curl up really badly when they dry. And then I'll come back and see if I'm finished or want to do more work. So here are the two paintings that I've just taped down, taking my break, and then when I come back, I'll be able to look at them with fresh eyes and decide if they still need a little bit more work or if in fact they're done. So the verdict is more work. And you can see that here I'm putting the paint down thickly. It doesn't have as much water. And now I'm adding water. You can see that is more transparent as opposed to the first little blob I put down that is more opaque because there's less water. Every time adding water to a water-based paint makes it more transparent. Less water, it's more opaque. Another thing that happens with water-based paints is that once they dry, they don't have the same richness and vibrance of color that they seemed to have when you were working and they were still wet. So once it dries, you come back with fresh eyes, you can see it's kind of dull. So that's when you can keep adding layers of paint, both transparent and opaque. And I'm just working along here, doing the things that I like to do, little dots of color here and there, and bringing out some of the details, increasing the sun in the sky behind the one on the bottom, spirals. I always love spirals. Now, another thing that you can use when you're working are watercolor pencils. So you could see that when you put down a blob of paint like that, and then go with the watercolor pencil, it'll draw the wet paint up and make a mark that looks different than either just a mark with the pencil or a brush stroke. So these are all different ways that you can work to get different looks and textures, from tissue paper, blotting, to brushes, to watercolor pencils. So continuing to work on the skies and delineate the blue on that side where I'd already done the yellow of the sun on the other side. And voila, here are my two paintings of homes via process painting and my intuition.